Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're diving into a really unique source, Junior Kekuewa Jr.'s book, The Universal Law of Attraction in Singing.
Mhm.
Our mission for you, our listener, is to unpack how something that seems, pretty straightforward, like voice training, can actually become this profound vehicle for self-development, empowerment, even life transformation.
Yeah.
And it's all through the surprising lens of the law of attraction, that idea that your thoughts and focus shape your reality.
Right. And what's really fascinating here, I think, is how this book blends the practical, like actual vocal instruction with these, well, metaphysical principles.
Yeah.
It really pushes us to consider how connected our inner world, our thoughts, feelings, beliefs is to our outer experiences. Your voice isn't just sound, it's presented as this active tool for manifesting real change.
That's a really compelling way to start. So, okay, how did Junior Kekuewa Jr. even stumble upon this mix of vocal training and the law of attraction? It seems quite unique.
While his early influences were absolutely key, his youngest uncle apparently had a huge impact.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, teaching him these practical, positive affirmations like to lose weight, his uncle would say, "It feels good to be thin."
Huh. Simple?
Right, or to quit smoking, "It feels good to breathe clean air." Kikuwa later realized these were, well, direct applications of the law of attraction.
Even though his uncle didn't call it that.
Exactly, he never named it, just said, just do this, it will work.
And it sounds like there's a personal angle for the author, too. He came from classical voice training.
Intense classical training, yeah. But he noticed something all the students, himself included, sounded remarkably similar, almost
Like copies.
cloned was the word he used. So that pushed him to develop a more individual approach, focusing on muscle development, not just articulation.
Yeah.
Plus, his mother had this belief that teaching was inbred in their family.
Wow, strong word.
Yeah, but it points to this powerful drive, maybe inherited towards education, that sort of nudged him this way, too.
Makes sense.
Then came the pivotal moment. He encountered Rhonda Byrne's The Secret DVD and Mike Dooley's work.
Ah, the secret.
And watching it, he said, everything just clicked. All those things his uncle taught him, confirmed as the universal law of attraction.
Hmm.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How often are we applying these big principles in our lives without even, realizing it?
That's a great question. It really shifts your perspective. Now, this discovery, it led to some, material gains for him first.
Yeah.
Cars, instruments.
Yeah, initially. New cars, instruments, money came pretty quickly, he says. But the deeper purpose, the really profound thing for him,
Yeah.
was seeing lives actually transform when he started integrating these law of attraction principles into his singing school. He's been doing it for 7 years now, and seeing these amazing holistic results.
You mentioned the voice running deep into the psyche. Let's explore that. How does this method go beyond just making sounds to facilitate such deep change, self-discovery?
Right. The voice, in this view, is much more than just sound. It produces real benefits. Visible, audible, it acts as this vehicle for change. Physically, mentally, emotionally. It becomes a metaphor, really, for discovering your true self, resetting your goals, and just fundamentally solidifying self-confidence right at the core in your mindset.
So for our listeners, what are the mechanics? How does the voice physically create that internal shift?
Okay, so the core idea isn't just that singing feels good. It's how this method uses frequency and velocity intentionally.
How so?
When you sing, or even just speak expressively, at a certain vibrational frequency, it triggers endorphins, that feel-good response.
Right, the runner's high, but for singing.
Kind of, yeah. And the stronger the velocity, the force behind that sound, the stronger the frequency, the more endorphins get stimulated. It creates this positive feedback loop.
So it's not like primal scream therapy or anything.
No, not at all. It's described as much more subtle, but powerful. A continuous, positive physiological feedback.
And what about the physical side effects?
Well, they're pretty remarkable according to the source. Increased self-confidence, more willpower, sure, but also significant muscle conditioning.
In the respiratory system.
Exactly. Diaphragm, abs, and even the superior constrictor muscle. That's key. It's in the back of the throat. Crucial for tone and strength. If it's underdeveloped,
That's when your voice cracks.
that's often a big reason for cracking, yeah. So strengthening it is huge.
Okay, so if the goal isn't just technique, but this bigger transformation, how does the method actually build that trust, that expectation of results?
Oh, right. That's where the law of attraction comes in directly. It's about consciously building that positive feedback loop, focusing on what works, expecting improvement. It goes beyond just the exercises themselves.
So this claim in the book, We couldn't teach to sing. Nobody ever failed. Over 27 years, thousands of students. I mean, how is that even possible?
Well, a huge part of it, he says, was his collaboration with Wayne, his best friend, teaching partner,
Hmm.
who was blind and a musical genius.
Ah, okay. How did that help?
Wayne's blindness was actually an advantage in teaching. Students felt incredibly comfortable. They weren't being watched or stared at, which can be really intimidating, right?
Totally. Especially when you're trying something new and feel vulnerable.
Exactly. So they just did what Wayne instructed. It created the secure, unjudged space where they could follow instructions without resistance.
That makes a lot of sense.
Mm.
And the core principle behind it, energy goes where attention flows.
Yes. And interestingly, the school didn't always start with singing. They initially took students for public speaking.
Oh.
Yeah, but the confidence gained there often made people curious. They think, maybe I can try singing now.
So the confidence built in one area spilled over.
Precisely. And the positive reinforcement was just radical. They made it a rule.
Right.
Only focus on what students did right. Never use negative words.
Like no, or that's wrong.
Never. No, not like that. None of it. This was apparently a direct reaction to the author's own bad experiences with teachers who only pointed out mistakes.
That must have created a totally different atmosphere.
Completely. And he noticed a difference in learning. Kids, they got it immediately, learned fastest.
Right.
Adults were often suspicious at first, like, why aren't you telling me what I'm doing wrong? They almost expected criticism.
Huh. Conditioned to it? Maybe.
Probably. But he says the consistent positive results eventually became undeniable, even for the skeptics.
And this speaks to the universality he talks about.
Yeah, that the law of attraction worked on everyone, every time. And it applies way beyond singing. It's about desire, action, focusing only on the positive developments, and, crucially, ignoring the mistakes.
Which helps you become.
A better, more positive person overall. More confident, expressive, outgoing, receptive. It's a whole evolution.
So it clearly wasn't just about making great singers. These side effects seem almost more important sometimes.
You're absolutely right. Singing was often just the method, the pathway, the focus on muscle development, not just classical technique.
Yeah.
That led to these wider physical and mental improvements. His rule became where the body goes, the mind follows, and vice versa. It's all connected.
The story he shares are really compelling, like the high school students.
Right. They'd start lessons and suddenly become more sociable at school, join clubs, make friends. Even their grades improved sometimes.
Wow.
Then there's the grandmother. She came for lessons with her grandson, but the author sensed she needed help.
Using that intuition you mentioned.
Exactly. After a few months of private sessions, just positive reinforcement, she took a break next time he saw her. She'd moved out of a bad living situation, got her own place, said she'd never been happier.
That's incredible. And he has that line.
Oh, yeah. The difference between this process and seeing a therapist is, with this process, you don't need to say what's wrong. It will just be remedied.
That's quite a statement.
It is. And then the story of the really shy, introverted woman,
Yeah.
just a few months of lessons, she files for divorce, changes her whole life, reports being happier than ever. These weren't rare occurrences, he stresses.
But there's a catch, right?
There's the catch, he mentions.
Yeah.
It works on everyone, but it works for everyone who believes. Faith is the key. Which raises that big question for all of us, doesn't it? How much of our potential is locked up, just waiting for our own belief to turn the key?
That's a powerful thought. So if belief is the key, how does the method practically build that belief? What are the nuts and bolts, the physical things that help people feel it?
He boils it down beautifully, really simply. Singing is muscles in air.
Muscles in there, okay.
Muscles tighten the sound, make it firm, piercing. Air smooths it out, makes it mellow, round. For a 4-year-old, the concept was just how much muscle and how much air.
That is incredibly simple. How does that scale up, though? And didn't he mention something about channeling insights during lessons?
He does, yeah. He refers to it as the voice of infinite wisdom or intuition guiding him. But the scaling comes from applying that simple muscles and air foundation consistently.
Okay.
Like the example of the autistic boy, his dad said he learned best by watching. So the author did this detailed muscles and air demonstration. The boy got it instantly, became an outstanding performer, even got music on iTunes. The author's point is, this fundamental principle works for everyone.
And this idea, your voice is an instrument. That's not just a nice phrase, is it?
No, it's crucial. Students are encouraged to play with their voice, make weird sounds,
Why weird sounds?
to test limits, and crucially, to overcome the fear of cracking. Because cracking, he explains, is often just that underdeveloped superior constrictor muscle we talked about.
Ah, right.
So playing helps them get out of their self-imposed box, explore their range without fear.
That sounds like it would help even if you don't want to be a singer, like just in everyday life.
Absolutely. When people start seeing their voice as an instrument they can control, conversations go better, meetings are more effective, people pay more attention.
And breathing, how does that fit in?
Breathing is fundamental. He advocates intercostal breathing. That's breathing down deep into the diaphragm and abdomen without your chest rising much.
For maximum support.
Exactly. But for shy people, the big challenge isn't just breathing in deeply. It's exhaling fully, letting themselves out.
What do you mean letting themselves out?
Pushing their voice confidently, projecting it maybe an arm's length away, making the force of their voice start at their fingertips almost.
That sounds like it would build confidence just doing it.
Immensely. It strengthens the whole respiratory system too. And he says once they hit that milestone, they never really recede back into themselves again. Ever.
Which brings us back to the mind again. A huge part of this really is about shifting your mindset, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely profoundly. Because the teaching is metaphysical at its core, it demands a paradigm shift.
And they achieve that by making it simple.
Right. Breaking concepts down so even a 4-year-old gets it. They don't expect the student to meet their level. They bring the instruction down to the student's level. That rapid, accessible learning is what creates the new paradigm.
Which is so different from those stories he tells about, like the arrogant college guitar teacher.
Or the chorus teacher who just confused a student with jargon.
Yeah, it's the opposite. He strives for clarity, avoids complexity.
Because
It's really how one thinks of something that does the trick. Understanding the basic process is key, not being intimidated by sciencey terms. They'll offer multiple ways to explain something until the light bulb goes on.
That makes sense. He even tells that story about the student who quit because he felt he couldn't serve 2 masters.
Right. His college teacher's jargon versus the author's simpler, intuitive method.
It really makes you think, how much does our environment, what we're told, shape what we believe we can do?
It's incredibly powerful. Ultimately, singing, in this context, isn't just technique. It's about delivering a song with real feeling, real emotion, to connect with people. And that needs internal understanding, internal belief.
Now, he also talks about spiritual forces at work. How does that fit in?
Well, the author believes strongly that a lot of the development isn't just him or Wayne. It's the work of something bigger than what is visible in the room.
God, higher power. Whatever term you use, yes. He actually prays for guidance specifically in communication, believing that clear communication is how those higher forces work through him.
And he mentioned actually channeling messages during lessons.
Yes, he describes that as a regular practice, believing instructions or insights are coming directly from that higher source to guide the teaching in the moment.
Yet the approach itself sounds very grounded.
It is very natural, simple, down to earth. They actively avoid showing off knowledge in a way that could, as he puts it, injure a student's confidence. It's about letting go, letting God, allowing results to happen more effortlessly.
Pushing too hard gets in the way.
That's the idea. It hinders that unseen assistance.
And that skill he developed from working with Wayne, feeling people's energy.
Yeah, that's fascinating. He says eyes give you a glimpse into the soul, but the voice, that gives you a glimpse into feelings and emotions right now.
So they can sense who needs nurturing or who's dealing with stuff.
Exactly. It allows for a more intuitive, tailored approach. It reinforces the idea that the results are better because they're combining the mental, the physical, and the spiritual. It's holistic.
Like that Henry Ford quote he uses.
If you think you can do a thing, or you think you can't do a thing, you're right.
Yeah.
Yes. It connects directly back to those miracles they see.
And does it matter if someone doesn't believe in a higher power?
He clarifies that no, it still works. For non-believers, they're tapping into their inner strength. The profound results he feels are just a testament to the grand design of human potential, however you frame it.
So bringing it all together, what are the broad everyday life benefits, these extenuating blessings, he calls them?
He really sees the method as a vehicle applicable to any life circumstance. Its effectiveness depends on the strength of your will.
So it builds confidence, willpower.
Yes, and aids in manifesting that dream life. Better relationships, achieving goals, the whole package.
I love that detail about the can sign on the studio door.
Yeah, just on the back, so you see it as you leave, a final little nudge.
Simple, but powerful.
It really highlights what he felt traditional teacher college maybe missed the power of no negatives, the metaphysical side, these universal principles. It's moving away from factory education, as he calls it.
Towards something kinder, more student-focused.
Exactly. And that insight for you, the listener, is key. The difference between this and going to a therapist is with this, you don't need to say what's wrong, it will just be remedied.
That's just a fascinating perspective on how this process works inherently.
It really is. And the fact that they keep discovering new facets of it just by watching students transform, it speaks volumes about human potential, doesn't it?
So what we've really seen in this deep dive is how vocal training, when it's combined with these principles of law of attraction, real belief, and this deeply positive way of teaching, can unlock incredible personal growth, way beyond just learning to sing.
Yeah, it's about empowering people to genuinely transform their lives, often in ways they didn't even expect.
Truly amazing stuff.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you to consider. If simply developing your voice, supported by faith and relentless positive reinforcement, can change a life so profoundly, what other seemingly simple practices, maybe ones you already do or could easily adopt, might be powerful conduits for unlocking your full potential, things you haven't even considered in that light before?